Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if it happens to be your very first time here. My name is Troy, and today I'm a little bit under the weather, but I didn't want to risk tomorrow sounding even worse, so I wanted to bring you guys today's video. That's the bad news. The good news is if I happen to sneeze on camera, I'll make sure I leave that in for your guys' entertainment. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing my top 5 dividend stocks going into next week, and what makes my list different than all the other lists you're going to find all over YouTube is all of my stocks have outperformed the S&P 500 over a long period of time. They all have relatively low payout ratios and relatively high dividend growth rates. So if any of that tickles your fancy, make sure you guys come back to this channel every Friday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time for a fresh list. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into number 5 on this week's list, which is Lennox International, stock ticker LII. Today's video marks the third time I've spoken about this stock right here on the channel. And if you go back to the very first time I spoke about this stock on August 26th of 2022, LII has crushed the S&P 500 since then, so let's go ahead and look at the numbers behind this stock. Lennox International is a quarterly payer in the industrial sector, paying $4.60 per share per year with a forward dividend yield of 0.73%. Lennox International has been paying and growing their dividend over the last 15 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate of 10.02%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 9.8%, and a payout ratio of 19.67%. Now, at the time of recording, Lennox International was trading 7.94% off of their 52-week high. They have an ex-dividend date of December 31st and a payout date of January 15th. And looking at this chart, you're going to be able to see the growth of a single $10,000 investment into this stock versus the S&P 500 over a 10-year time frame, while only reinvesting your dividends since then. LII would have been turned into $74,232.67, which outperforms the S&P 500 by $40,275.63 in the same time frame. Next up, and coming in at number 4, is Steel Dynamics, stock ticker STLD. Including today's video, I've now mentioned this stock 8 times right here on the channel. And if you go back to the very first time I spoke about this one on June 23rd of 2022, Steel Dynamics has outperformed the S&P 500. So let's go ahead and take a peek at the numbers behind this one. STLD is a quarterly payer in the material sector, paying $1.84 per share per year with a forward dividend yield of 1.59%. Steel Dynamics has been paying and growing this dividend over the last 14 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate of 30.05%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 20.08%, and a payout ratio of just 16.33%. Now, at the time of recording, Steel Dynamics was trading 25.63% off of their 52-week high, so possibly an opportunity here. They have an ex-dividend date of December 31st with a payout date of January 10th, and looking here at this same chart, Steel Dynamics would have been turned into $75,210.72, which outperforms the S&P 500 by $41,256.68. Next up, and coming in at number 3, is HEICO, stock ticker HEI. Including today's video, this is now the third time I've spoken about this stock right here on the channel. And if you go back to the very first time I spoke about this one on December 30th of 2022, HEI has slightly underperformed the S&P 500 since then, but I do like this one long term, and I want to show you why. HEI is a semi-annual payer in the industrial sector, paying 22 cents per share per year with a forward dividend yield of just 0.09%. Now, they've been paying and growing their dividend over the last 20 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate of 7.3%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 8.45%, but their payout ratio is just 5.18%. Now, at the time of recording, HEICO was trading 15.75% off of their 52-week high. They have an ex-dividend date of January 3rd with a payout date of January 17th. And looking at this chart, over the past 10 years, HEICO would have been turned into $80,211.97, which outperforms the S&P 500 by $46,254.93. With that being said, we're a little bit over halfway through this week's video. If you guys haven't already, please take 1 second to leave a like on the video. I appreciate everybody that does that week in and week out. Also, I want to hear from you guys down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think of this week's list. Are there any stocks that suck? Any stocks that you super like or personally own? Let me know down below. But now let's get to number 2. Next up, and coming in at number 2, is Quanta Services, stock ticker PWR. Including today's video, I've now mentioned this stock 3 times right here on the channel. And if you go back to the very first time I spoke about this one on April 5th of 2024, PWR has outperformed the S&P 500 since then. So let's go ahead and look at the numbers behind that one. PWR is a quarterly payer in the industrial sector, paying 40 cents per share per year with a forward dividend yield of 0.12%. PWR has been paying and growing this dividend over the last 6 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate a lot lower than I like at 4.01%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 11.04%, but the payout ratio is super sweet at just 3.92%. Now, at the time of recording, Quantus Services was actually trading 6.22% off of their 52-week high. They have an ex-dividend date of January 2nd with a payout date of January 13th. And looking at this chart, over the past 10 years, PWR would have grown into $121,789.36, which outperforms the S&P 500's growth by $87,832.32. And next up, the stock I feel super strongly that you guys must know about going into next week and coming in at number 1 is Monolithic Power Systems, stock ticker MPWR. Including today's video, I've now spoken about this stock 6 times right here on the channel, and if you go back to the very first time I spoke about this one on June 23rd of 2022, MPWR is actually underperforming the S&P 500 since then, and I'm not worried about that. In fact, I think this is a great buying opportunity, and I want to show you the numbers behind why. MPWR is a quarterly payer in the technology sector, paying $5 per share per year with a forward dividend yield of 0.84%. MPWR has been paying and growing their dividend over the last 7 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate of 27.35%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 25.93%, and a payout ratio of 30.33%. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier. At the time of recording, Monolithic Power Systems was trading 38.18% off of their 52-week high, so there's that opportunity. They have an ex-dividend date of December 31st with a payout date of January 15th, and looking at this chart, you're going to see that 38% drop is just a drop in the bucket for this stock. Over the last 10 years, MPWR would have still turned into $131,312.59, which still outperforms the S&P 500 by $97,355.55. With that being said, I really want to say thank you guys so much for continuing to watch and support this series. If you guys really want to support this series the best and freest way possible, you guys can just comment down below and let me know what you think of each and every list. However, if you guys happen to be watching this video after December 30th of 2024, it would be in your best interest to make sure you guys are not only subscribed, but also ring the bell, as all of the stocks in today's video have ex-dividend dates of that week. So if you guys happen to miss them, you guys will have to wait at least 3 long months. And one of these stocks is a semi-annual payer, which is 6 months to get paid from any of these stocks. And we all know
ain't nobody got time for that.
And while you did already miss the ex-dividend dates for all of last week's stocks, if you guys are in the market for 5 more high-quality dividend stock ideas, make sure you check out last week's video right here. But until next time, see ya.